Alright, I'm doing a Junji Ito tier list today because it's spooky season and I love Halloween and he's one of my favorite horror creators ever of anything. So let's do it. I went ahead and separated some of these because some A's are better than other A's. Some S's are better than other S's, and we'll just keep a general category here, B, C, and D. There's no F's in Junji Ito's catalog. There may be D's, but there's no F's. All right, let's start off strong. A lot of people think that this one is his best, but I actually disagree. I'm putting it in just S. This one is dope, though. This one is about a town, and it starts off real slow, and it builds up to just some crazy junk, and it's amazing. It's about a girl that starts noticing these spirals in her town, and these spirals are like a sign of some kind of curse or something, and everything just gets crazy. It spirals from there. This is, I'd probably say start off with this one if you never read Junji Ito. There's actually some other ones that I would say start off with. This is one of his long-form mangas. It's very good. It has everything in it that you could ask for, every kind of horror, basically. Very good story, a lot going on, crazy ending. Really one of his best. So let's move on. A lot of these are actually collections of stories. Uzumaki is one full story, but I didn't put it in S+ because there's actually one other one that I think is better in my opinion, and I really don't care what you have to say about that. Hold on, I have to fucking read this shit in here before... I forgot about this story in Love Sickness. Wait. It was at a fall festival when I was still a boy. In among the booths in the shrine grounds, I discovered something unbelievable. Poop. They're selling poop. The surprisingly real rubber poop. Poop at the time was generally known to be coiled, but this poop was made up of 2 logs. These were positioned with exquisite balance. The color was also fresh, and they were set just so on this fancy tissue paper. This realism troubled me. I want one. I want one. In the end, I didn't buy it. I was too embarrassed. But even after I got home, it wouldn't leave my head. I told my mother about it as I massaged her shoulders, and then, Mom, I wanted that poop. Buy it. I made my decision. All right, I'm buying it. But when I went to the booth, I hesitated. My timing was bad. There were people, getting all worked up over this poop. This poop's amazing. Who would buy this? But I couldn't turn back then. I'll try a little joke. Maybe I'll buy it, huh? What? What? Yes, buy it if you're man enough. I was filled with regret on the way home. I was a person who bought poop in front of other people. Every time they saw poop, they would think of me. And thus ended my dark fall festival. Ah, what is this? Crumpled paper. That day, the poop made its glorious debut in the entry of our house. Neighbor lady poured some water out. Crumpled up paper. After that, the poop got broken up, and for a while, just one of them could be found in the drawer. But that one eventually went off somewhere, too. What the fuck? I don't remember that at all. Memories of real poop. So this one right here, I would give about, we're going to go about a C right there, which is average. I know it doesn't look average because I got all these ratings above it, but it's average. I'm really tempted to put it up even higher because of the poop story. But this one's pretty good. Story about a very handsome boy, and some stuff goes down. He's like a ghost or something, and he appears in the fog. A little spooky. Not the best, but pretty good. I'd say it's good if you're a fan of Junji Ito. Love Sickness. This is a collection of short stories, but the Love Sickness story takes up quite a few pages. I think it's, how long is it? The story of Love Sickness takes up about half of the book, and then the rest is short stories. But yeah, pretty decent. I might even give that a C+, actually. I don't really want to make more room, though. So we're going to give that a C. Maybe even a B-. I don't know. Okay, moving on. Let's go with Frankenstein. This one is just basically a one-to-one recreation of the original Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So if you like the Frankenstein story, it's pretty good. You can look at it in Junji Ito's art. The Frankenstein story is a little bit under half of the whole thing. The rest of it are just okay, kind of not very memorable stories. This whole thing is basically, it's like really old stories by Junji Ito, like 90s, maybe even 80s. I'm not sure when he started. Actually, it does have a couple newer stories at the end. You can tell by his artwork. But nothing too memorable in here. This one was honestly right on the edge of me getting it or not getting it. I just decided to get it. Some of these manga I don't own just because I don't like them. Okay, so that one's Frankenstein. We'll go with Remina. This one is also going to be a C. I would say Love Sickness definitely is better than Remina. A lot of people like Remina. This one's about a planet that is slowly coming close to Earth, and it is going to devour it. And everyone's freaking out. It's a good horror concept. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. It's not really for me. It is a cool idea though. Everyone's like freaking out, and there's like some like really rich people, if I recall correctly, that decide to like get onto like this spaceship, and they go somewhere else to like another planet. But not one of his best in my opinion. Let's move on. Twisted Visions right here. This is just artwork. This is not an actual story. All right, I've done a lot of his like mid manga now. Let's move on to something a little bit better. Venus in the Blind Spot. Where's that at? Right here. Venus in the Blind Spot. What are we going to give this one? I would say we're going to put this in B, but I would give this a B+, honestly. The B+ in this one actually is going to come from the art in this one. This one has some cool art in it. Color, too, and a lot of the pages actually have color. That one's from Uzumaki. This one is No Longer Human. No Longer Human. I can't remember what that one's from. But not only that, some of the pages also have colored art in them, which is pretty rare to find in a manga. Not all of them, but a few of them have colored pages. That one's going to get a plus from me because it has a bunch of colored pages in it. They really put more attention to detail in these earlier releases, these earlier English releases. Now they're just kind of pumping them out, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, they're still good quality, but this one, I'll show you the next one too. The other one is like this as well. So that one will get a B+ from me. A similar one to that is Fragments of Horror. And you can see they kind of did this like design. You can't see it, whatever. But they did this like design where if you like move it back and forth, it's like you can see like another picture. And both of these have these sleeves on them, which is pretty nice. And you get the artwork and sleeve and shit. It's pretty dope. This one does not have colored pages. I thought it did. Both of these have like fewer stories than the rest of them, but they're still pretty good. And a lot of people are going to be mad at me about this because Venus in the Blind Spot has the Enigma of Amigara Fault, and that's like considered one of his best stories, but honestly wasn't a big fan. It wasn't bad though. It was pretty decent. This one I'm actually going to give, this one's going to get an A. This one's dope. This one just has a lot of good stories in it. It's got Futon, Wooden Spirit, Tomio, Red Turtleneck. The Red Turtleneck's cool because his head's falling off and he has to put it back so that he doesn't die. So he just puts it right back on there and keeps on living. It's kind of goofy, but it's good. Also, Dissection Girl's in it. She really likes dissecting people. She's a weirdo. It's a good one. It's got Blackbird and Whispering Woman, all good stories. So that one is going to get an A. All right, next up, Suichi. This one sucks. I don't like it. Suichi's one of his older ones. I don't like his older ones that much, so this one sucks. Yan and Mu, this one's about his cats, and it's very short. This one's pretty good. This one's about his cats. He draws them in a creepy style, so if you like cats, read it, I guess. Tomie. No. Tomie's for weird weeb girls, and I'm not a weird weeb girl. Tomie is not interesting at all. It sucks. Actually, you know what? That one story photograph, that one's pretty good. I'll give it that. But overall, Tomie not good. And if you don't like it, fight me. Actually, Yan and Mu, this one's going above Remina. Also, I forgot to mention, Suichi and Tomie are both short story collections about each one of these characters. Dissolving Classroom. I don't know, this one might get a tie with Love Sickness. I think this one, actually, you know what? I think this one's better than Love Sickness, actually. And this one is kind of like a long form story, but it has a bunch of short stories that's like kind of connect, but don't really. It's not really one long form story, but it's about like a little demon girl, and she's got like a demon older brother or something like that. Pretty weird, pretty creepy. Decent story if you like Junji Ito. I'll give it a C. This one I have not read. This is kind of like a historical thing that he made. Deserter. I have not read everything in this one. I've read some of these because I read some of them online. I don't own this one. Even though I haven't really read the whole thing, I'm still going to grade it, and I'm going to give it a D because I historically have not liked his older stories. And this is a collection of his very first stories. And another thing I want to say about Junji Ito, this man is an inspiration because you got to see some of his old artwork. It sucks. And now it's amazing. So that just tells me anyone can do anything if they just do it as long as Junji Ito has. Censor, I was pretty disappointed in this one, honestly, but we'll give that one a C above Love Sickness. And it was pretty immemorable. I don't know the word, but I'd give it a grade above Love Sickness. Honestly, I don't even remember what happened in it. It was pretty boring. And this one is also one straight story. This isn't a collection of stories. Let's go with another S. Mimi's Ghost Stories, or Mimi's Tales of Terror in the English release. This one comes out later this month, but I've read it online. And this one has one of my favorite stories from Junji Ito, Graveman. This one is amazing. This one's about a girl that notices that the graveyard outside her window, the graves are moving every night. Like when she wakes up in the morning, she'll see that the graves are like in different places. And it's revealed that there's this jacked dude going to the cemetery at night for a workout. Just this absolute giga chad lifting the stones as a workout, and the spirits are like pissed off, dude. It's hilarious. So that alone gets an S for me. But no, I like this one because this one is actually ghost stories. Most of his stuff isn't really ghost stories. Like, he's got a lot of diverse kind of horror, but this one is pretty much all ghost stories, and also the quality of this one is super good. I mean, it's been, I think, maybe like 2 years since I read this one, but I liked every story in it, and I love anything with ghosts. So yeah, that one gets an S. Now this one right here, the Liminal Zone, I think it's Liminal. This one contrasts this one, Censor. These are both about the same length. This one is actually a collection of 4 stories. This one is one long story. And this one is what I was hoping this one would be. Even though it's only 4 stories, it's pretty short. These stories are quality. These are all very good. I mean, they all just have like a really good plot. He carries the plot very well. And these are really Junji Ito short stories at his best right here. So even though they're only 4 stories, this one, I might actually give this one an S. That kind of surprises me. I didn't think I liked it that much. And again, all of these are in order. I like Uzumaki better than Mimi's Ghost Stories or Tales of Terror. And I like that better than the Liminal Zone. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to move to Tomie over there. I think I like Deserter more than Tomie, even though I've probably only read like half of the stories in this one. I don't like Tomie. Moving on. Gyo, wasn't a fan of this one either. This one's going in D. This one's kind of a high D though. Yeah, we'll put it up here. Wait, I'll move Frankenstein around. This one is a long form. It's about a bunch of fish that suddenly grow legs and they come to the surface and it smells like shit everywhere and they just start causing havoc, dude. Not my kind of story though. A lot of people like that one. They really like Gyo, they like Tomie, they like Remina. Not a fan of those ones though. Tombs. This one's pretty good. It's got one of my favorite stories, The Window Next Door. That's one of his best stories in my opinion. But it's kind of surrounded by just okay stories. The cover of the book Tombs, that one's pretty good. That one has a pretty good story to it. Slug Girl's pretty good. That's a pretty popular Junji Ito story right there. For the rest of them, honestly not that memorable. But pretty decent stories nonetheless. So this one has an absolute banger surrounded by just okay stories. Yeah, I'd probably put this one above Venus. I'll give that a one. That one's a good B. Black Paradox. This one is about a group of people that are in a suicide pact, and they find some kind of orb that will kill them, I think. I don't really remember. This one's not one of my favorites. I want to say D, but I think it's a little bit better than that one. I'd probably give it... I think I actually like this one more than Remina. I'd put it right there between Yan and Mu and Love Sickness. Not one of my favorites. I mean, the plot sounds kind of cool, but I just wasn't that into it. Okay, we're coming up on some bangers here. Yeah, this one right here is Shiver. This one's very good. This one actually has a few duds in it that I didn't remember. It's got hanging balloons, which they call hanging blimp for some reason, so that's dumb. Hanging Balloons is one of his best stories. Also, The Long Dream, Greased. Greased is probably like top 5 Junji Ito stories for me. It's so disgusting. It's about this family that lives above their restaurant and all the grease goes up there and there's just grease everywhere and they're just surrounded by grease at all times. It's disgusting. It's awesome. The Long Dream, that one's kind of boring, but that's also considered one of his best works right there. Oh, I forgot about Honored Ancestors. This one's crazy too. This one is going to get an A+. Well, we're down to 2 left. Smashed. This one is very similar to Shiver in terms of quality, and I think this one has Blood-Sucking Darkness. That one's pretty good. Oh, I Don't Want to Be a Ghost. I really like this story right here. That one might be one of my favorites too. This one's about a girl. I can't remember if she's a ghost herself. This is about a girl that eats ghosts, and he's got like a haunted apartment or something, and she eats them. But the art in this is very good. Yeah, this one has a lot of quality in it. This one's not as good as Shiver. We'll give Smash an A. And for our last one, No Longer Human. This one is also one long form manga right here. This one's just amazing, dude. So already off the bat, you already know S+. This is his best right here. There's nothing better than No Longer Human. I went on to read the original one. This one is based on No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. This one is just a recreation of that story, but like ×5 in terms of craziness. And the original story is like a semi autobiographical. Is that what you call it? I don't know what it's autobiography. Autobiography or something. That's when they tell their life story or something. Whatever, dude. Whatever. So yeah, this is a different kind of horror. This is the horror of depression, of anxiety, of judgment in yourself, the fear of judgment of others, not living up to expectations. And it's just a story about this dude that is... Am I not close enough to the microphone? Story about this dude that is, he feels as if he is no longer human. He really doesn't understand what it means to be a human. And the art in this is just amazing too. This one, people say Uzumaki is his magnum opus. And maybe that's true because that is the original story written by him. Because this is just like an adapted story and he adds some extra stuff to it. But I think this is his true magnum opus. So yeah, I mean, you can just feel this dude's emotions and it's kind of relatable in some ways, even though, you know, I haven't really gone through like extreme emotions like this guy has, but, you know, just like saying the wrong thing in front of other people and, you know, wondering what they thought about that and, you know, falling for temptation and just making bad decisions all around. And I mean, he just keeps spiraling and spiraling, gets into bad relationships with people. But yeah, again, I really can't talk about his art enough. It is just amazing. Okay, so which ones would I recommend to people who haven't read Junji Ito? If you want a different kind of horror, like I was just talking about, I would go for No Longer Human. If you want a classic horror with everything in it, his magnum opus, Uzumaki, is the one to go for. If you want some short stories, I'd probably go with Shiver, because this one probably just has something for everybody in it. You know, it's just my opinion. I like these two better than Shiver. And then after that, if you want another short story, I would either go with Liminal Zone or Smashed. Maybe even Fragments of Horror. And if you're a weird weeb girl, I would go with Tomie. So yeah, that's the definitive ranking of Junji Ito's. No, I'm just kidding. This has like heavily my personal bias in it. But that's okay. Get over it. See ya.